friends, it is I, Mr. Bell, coming at you with a brand new unit and a brand new drawing exercise. To do this, you're going to need a pencil. You probably want an eraser. My pencil doesn't have an eraser, so I'm going to use my fancy pants drawing eraser, and you need a straight edge. I'm going to use ruler. You can use anything, though. If you don't have access to a ruler, the edge of a piece of paper can be a flat or a straight edge. The edge of a scrap of cardboard, as long as it's cut straight, can be a straight edge. Really anything that has a straight edge can be a straight edge. So you might want to pause this video if you're working alongside me and grab those materials. But I'm going to continue on right now like you do have them. Okay, so we are working on a brand new unit. This unit is going to be about an art technique called point line perspective. That's P-O-I-N-T, point line, L-I-N-E, perspective, P-E-R-S-P-E-C-T-I-V-E, point line perspective. And this is going to be the first activity we're doing for this unit. So please draw that circle with a 1 in the middle of it. So for this exercise, I've already drawn a circle in the middle of my page. I did that first. So I drew my circle. Then I took my straight edge and I drew a line that goes right through the middle of that circle and stays parallel to the top or the bottom of your page. This dot is called the vanishing point. This dot is the point where the viewer, or you, if you're looking here, you can't see anything anymore. If things get far enough off into the distance, they become just little dots until the point where they basically disappear and you can't see them anymore. And that is that point in the vision. You're a human standing here and you're looking this way in a room that's laid out before you on this flat piece of paper. And it's a big empty room, but it's really, really big, and it's so big that you can't even see the wall that's holding up this room. There is a ceiling and you can kind of see it, and there's a floor out in front of you, and you're looking out here, and this is the point where you can't see anything. This horizon line represents that point where the ceiling meets the floor. There could be a wall in between that. I don't know. We can't see it right now, but we do know that there is a floor and that there is a ceiling in this giant room that we're hanging out in. So next part of this activity, though, is you're standing here, and now what I want you to do is draw probably about 6 or 7 lines that can be anywhere on your page, as long as they go from one end of the page to the other, and that they go right through the middle dot here. So I'm going to draw one here. I think I'm going to draw one here. And then as you're drawing this, be aware, maybe you don't want to make these triangles perfectly spaced out, but you definitely want some lines that are more vertical than horizontal. You want some lines that are more horizontal than vertical. I'm going to draw another one right here. And I think maybe I want one to be right here. I want one pretty straight up and down. So now you've already started creating that illusion of things getting smaller as they get farther away. So you're standing here again, and now all of a sudden these ghost lines here. These are lines that we're going to erase as we go forward. But these lines start to be the edges of floors, or maybe the tops and bottoms of walls, or the edges of like floating chunks of ceiling and walls and floors. And we're going to start drawing how those floating walls and floors would look, and how they will appear to kind of disappear off into the distance. So I'm going to draw a shape right here to begin with. I'm going to draw a floor first for this exercise. And you can start with the wall, but I would push you to start with the floor first. If you know what you're doing, go nuts. But I'm going to start with the floor. So I'm going to find one of these ghost lines that I drew that goes through my vanishing point, and I'm going to connect just one for this. Then I'm going to find another place down here. I think I'm going to go with right here, and I'm going to draw another. This is going to represent a section of floor, right? You're standing here, you're floating out here, you're looking off in the distance, so now there's all of a sudden this floating floor in front of you. I'm going to darken in those lines just so I know this is the shape I want to keep. to illustrate that now all of a sudden there is like a very rudimentary floor floating in front of you. Now I'm going to draw a wall, and I'm going to choose to draw it really anywhere on the page. And this time though, I'm going to, since I know I'm drawing a wall, I want my wall to be vertical. That means straight up and down. And I'm going to go all the way from this ghost line to the vanishing point. And I'm going to go all the way to this one. I'm going to go through a bunch. I want this to be like a really big, tall wall that's floating. I want this to appear to be kind of maybe on the same level as this one, but it goes way up high into the room. Well above, remember this line here in the middle that we already drew, that's the horizon line. So that means when you're standing here, this wall is so tall that it goes above the horizon line. And if this was like sky, this wall would be blocking a little chunk of that sky. I'm going to put another one, maybe right here, because I don't want this to appear to be a really long wall. I'm going to put it there. And then I'm going to darken it. And this is the wall shape that I want. Darken this bad boy in, just to really illustrate that now this is appearing to be a really rudimentary, really flat wall that is there. So this one is pretty, you know, it's pretty close to the viewer, not super far away, but it's also good distance. So this is a really big wall. You can tell because also it goes way off into the distance. Picture maybe like this is the wall of like an average size bedroom in Northland. It would end probably right around there, maybe, depending on how scaled you want this to be. But we're really not worried so much about scale with this. We're kind of just doing this maybe a little quicker than you would be normally doing this if you're really planning this out like we're going to do in the future. But for this exercise, I think working a little quickly is maybe a good thing. So I'm making a ceiling. I made the choice to make a ceiling. So now all I have to do is remember that if I'm doing ceilings, that means the horizontal lines will be straight back and forth, and then the lines on the vertical edge, because it's a ceiling again, they will be the ones that follow these ghost lines to the vanishing point. Darken this one in. So now this is a piece of ceiling that goes that goes across, and now I'm gonna draw a wall. Bring that guy in. So now I'm going to draw another wall, and I'm going to draw it over here. But this wall, you know what? I don't want this wall and this wall over here to appear to be super even. So I'm going to add a new ghost line, and I can do that simply by finding that middle, and then I can put this line anywhere I want as long as it goes through the vanishing point. And I'm making a wall again, so I know that this part that I'm drawing, this is going to be the bottom of that wall. And then I want that wall, I think I'm going to have it end on this ghost line that I already drew. So since, again, this is a wall, I know that I want my straight line, the line that goes perfectly straight, to be the vertical lines. So I'm going to connect from maybe right here at the edge of that line that I drew, making it parallel to the edge of my page. I'm going to draw this one. Maybe it's really big right up there. Then I'm gonna make this a giant wall, and it's gonna stick way off into the distance, almost to the point where you can't even see it anymore. So I'm gonna find that same ghost line that I drew here and the same one that I drew here, and just draw a vertical line that connects them. And now I have a ginormous wall that fades well off into the distance right here. Bam. And then, you know, I'm going to add 2 more shapes. For this exercise, I want there to be a total of 6 different shapes. I think I'm going to add another wall. Oops. Sorry, guys. That must have been scary. I'm going to add another wall that is on this same plane. I want it to appear that it's going to be parallel with this wall. It's like on the same level, but I want this one to be maybe a little shorter. I'm going to draw it right here. This is a wall again, so I want to make the edges of it vertical. Those are the ones that I make up and that are straight parallel with the edges of the paper. I think I want this one to end right here on, a little higher than the horizon line. So I'm going to draw that line a little bit higher up, but now I know this is where I want this wall to end, so I need to go to that vanishing point where this wall is. I don't want it to go this way. I want it to go this way. So I'm going to draw that line going this way, but I want to go to that vanishing point. And since this is slightly above the horizon line, now my lines are going to be crooked going up, or diagonal going up instead of diagonal going down. Right about there. And I want this wall to fade all the way off into the distance where you couldn't see it anymore out of the corner of your eye. It's just, this is a wall that's going to stretch on behind you. It's going to be fading off into the distance the other way. And then I'm going to make another one up. I think this right here, this needs another floor. I could choose to make this into a weird crooked wall, but because it's so close to this middle line, the center part of your page, I'm going to make this into a floor. So I'm going to find that vanishing point, and this one I'm going to make a pretty short one. I'm going to make it really close to us, pretty short, and then I'm going to draw I think I want it to end pretty close to this wall, but not right next to it. So I'm going to make a new vanishing point right there. I'm going to draw it to right around there. Then, oops, I forgot. I thought I'd do this one a little bit different. These guys got to be near each other. And I think that's where I want that floor to end. So I'm going to draw, because again, this is floor. The horizontal lines will always be the ones that you make up that don't follow the ghost lines, and they'll always be parallel with the bottom and the top of your page. I'm going to draw it right there, and then I'm going to draw it right there. Then I'm going to kind of quickly erase. I'm not going to do a perfect job of erasing my ghost lines that I made. But just to illustrate that once these ghost lines go away, you can still read that these are flat walls and ceilings that appear to get smaller as they fade towards that horizon line, which again creates that illusion, that thing that doesn't really exist. This is still a flat piece of paper, obviously. There really isn't a giant room that you can see off in the distance, but this is a really basic way to create a situation, an actual space inside that looks two-dimensional, or that looks, I'm sorry, three-dimensional. Darken those in. Count them off. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 shapes. If you dig this, you can always draw more. And this is the end of what I really expect from you from this exercise, but I'm going to draw a couple more shapes if you're interested in kind of pushing this to the next level. So again, ultimately, basically, I want you to make your own walls. I want you to make your own ceilings and floors. Put them where you want, not where I put them necessarily. But these are some things to think about if you want to take this idea to a next level, okay? So let's pretend that this shape right here, this is the side of a house. This is the outside wall of a house, and I want to draw a window in this shape. So I'm going to find that vanishing point again, and I'm going to pick where I want that window. I think I want this window to be like a funky, modern-looking window that is up here in the corner and is relatively small compared to what this is, which is probably, you know, a pretty big wall. This is maybe a house. The draw distance here, because remember, as you get closer to the vanishing point, things get smaller and smaller and smaller really, really quick. So I'm going to put a window up here, and the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to find the vanishing point, and then I'm going to pick where I want to put it and how big I want it. I think I want it to be, again, pretty small up here in the top corner. So I'm going to just draw where that window is. I'm going to find the vanishing point, and I'm going to trace right there. Then I'm going to do the same thing, and I think I want my window to end maybe around here. Again, I want it to kind of be in the corner. So I'm going to find that vanishing point again, and I'm going to draw another line. It's okay that these lines, I'm going to erase big chunks of these, because again, this is a window on a wall, which means that it's going to be the vertical lines that are straight up and down, and it's going to be the top and the bottom of the window that fade off into the distance. I'm going to draw that line here, ba-ba-bam. I'm going to draw that line here, ba-ba-bam. And I'm going to erase that. So it looks a little funky when you draw this. You're going to be really tempted to think, hey, this does not compute. That's not really where that vanishing point is. But with point line perspective, you always have to be going to that vanishing point for that reality to really look real. If I was to draw, say, another window, I'm going to draw another window that's way off here on the distance of this very large wall I'm drawing here. I'm going to draw it right there. This is going to be the top of the window, and then this is going to be the bottom of the window. Again, I'm kind of trying to stay a little like even with this line, but really I'm just measuring distance and I'm figuring out where that vanishing point is. So I'm going to draw that line there. Draw way too big, and that's okay. Now I'm going to draw the vertical lines, which are going to be those straight up and down lines that you make up. And I have another much taller window down there. But this window, because it's so close to the vanishing point on the edge of the house, this is actually probably going to be quite a bit larger. So now the last thing I'm going to do for this is I'm going to draw a wall that goes in front of another wall. I'm going to connect it to this little chunk of floor I drew here. So I'm drawing a wall, right? But I want this wall to be connected to the floor in this. And I'm going to draw a large wall that comes up past this wall that I already drew. I'm going to start in the corner, and I'm going to go, let's go up here. And again, this is a wall. So I know that those lines that are straight that I make up, again, horizontal, not vertical. I'm going to do the same thing over here. Hopefully this will match up. And then this wall will fade off into the vanishing point, just like all the other walls. So find that vanishing point, find where I want that wall to end on the top. And I'm going to draw that. And I'm going to erase this, if that's not part of it. And then since this wall is in front of this wall, because it's closer to the middle point of the page, I know that this one is in front of this one. So I'm going to erase these lines. And voila, I have a chunk of floor and a chunk of wall that do go towards that vanishing point, kind of creating the illusion that these basic squares are fading off into the distance. And again, this can be used to organic shapes, those curved lines that we've talked about, or it can be for interior man-made geometric shapes, those straight lines. These squares very much are geometric shapes. That's hard angles and straight lines. So even though every one of these lines, the angles are really, really different, what these shapes are representing is basically 90-degree angles. This angle is, I don't have a protractor on me, but this angle is much smaller than 90 degrees if you look at it, but it's creating the illusion that this is a 90-degree angle, and so is this, and so is this, and so is this. This is a real obtuse angle. This is a pretty acute angle, but they both represent the same angle on those corners. And that's all I got. Again, for this exercise, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different floors, walls, and ceilings going towards that vanishing point.